Hey everybody, welcome back to the Pet Food Puzzle Guy. My name is Glenn, and Peter, one of the members of this channel, he had commented that my wolf puzzle that isn't on the wall right now, that we should name her or him. So I'll throw it out there. You guys are familiar with my wolf puzzle that's up there. I came down here this morning and found her on the floor, so I didn't hook her up very well. So now I have to do a few more repairs on her. She's an old puzzle, but I will get her up there. But in the meantime, if you think of a good name for our friendly wolf that we've had up there on the wall, let me know. And so it was a good idea, Peter. So again, welcome to the channel. I'm going to do a video today. I get such great comments, and I really would encourage anybody that's new to the channel, even you regulars, sometimes the comments by some of the folks out there, you guys are awesome and really do, the whole point of this channel is for all of us to learn. There's not like there's one expert here and everybody else falls in line. That's definitely not what I want on this channel. So I want to do a reaction to a comment that I got. It's a long one, and I appreciate the long ones. Nobody beats Peter. He makes the longest ones for sure. He's in another league. I told him he needs to have his own channel. But this is from a guy named Michael. And so I want to go ahead and just read some of his comment and then comment on it, because I think a lot of what he says is very typical of a lot of pet parents out there, the way they're thinking and the way they're feeling. So that's the purpose of when I do these responses to comments. Okay, so here we go. So just to explain how this happened was I was just kind of scrolling through, put pet food in, just see what videos are out there. And there was a gentleman, literally Michael. He has a channel, and he is a Scientologist. So his channel is about all kinds of, Scientology and all kinds of things like that. But he's a pet lover like the rest of us. And so he does some videos on pets. And it's kind of funny. He was actually interviewing Pam from Perfectly Holistic. She is the lady that has a holistic cat consultation service. And if you remember a couple of videos ago, I did a video reacting to her interview with Dr. Katie Woodley. So Dr. Woodley is a holistic veterinarian. So Pam and Dr. Woodley were going back and forth about prescription diet, and I made a video on it. But I also found Michael's video, his interview with Pam from Perfectly Holistic, and it was almost all the same information, same conversation. So I thought it was more impactful to hear from a holistic veterinarian than from Michael. But Michael is very heartfelt, very passionate guy, you can tell. And so I wanted to respond to him and Pam, or I guess to him on his channel. And I just did a comment saying, I appreciate your passion and all. Here's some difference of opinion. I was very polite and all. And sure enough, I got a comment back from Michael. So this is Michael's comment on my comment for his video. And again, if you can go to virtually Michael if you want, but I can tell you basically, if you watched my video with Dr. Woodley, Michael and Pam say pretty much the same exact stuff that Dr. Woodley and Pam did. So that's why I'm not going to include his video here. But I want to go through his comments because, again, I think it says a lot about how people are thinking out there. So, so here's Michael. This was just a day ago he did this. Hi, Pet Food Puzzle Guy. Love your channel name. It certainly is a puzzle. And thank you. That was the whole idea of puzzle, putting all the pieces together to get a clear picture. So I'm glad that was not lost on Michael. I'm sure some people wonder what's the deal with the puzzle. And yes, while I'm editing and reviewing and all, I actually can't see it, but it's right down here. I'm always working on a puzzle, so it helps keep my head straight. So anyway, so that's just to throw that out there for those of you that didn't know. First off, I appreciate your comment and decades of dedication to the veterinary field, especially your work with nutritionists and your passion for educating others. There's no doubt that many veterinarian or veterinary nutritionists set out with the right intention to help pets live longer, healthier lives. That intention is noble and needed. So it's kind of funny. Reminds me of when I think about politicians, that some of them actually start out really thinking they're going to make a difference, and they get caught up in it, and before long they're just as corrupt as anybody else. So I kind of think his thinking here is that they start out wanting to be true nutritionists, and then they just get caught up in the money. So let's keep going. Here's the next paragraph. What's frustrating And what I find to shine a light on, or what I try to shine a light on, is not the scientists, the reps, or even the veterinarians themselves, but rather the corporate structure behind many of these companies whose first priority is profit, not always the pet. Boy, didn't we just hear that in the last video I just did with the co-founder of Sundays for Dogs, that veterinarian saying the very same thing, right? When you follow the money, it's hard not to see how marketing often overshadows medical truth. So let's stop there. So corporate structure, of course, is profit driven, and of course, most of us, I do think we think of big companies are just out to make more money, and as soon as you start making money, you make more money, and then people that are who really aren't interested in the pet become a bigger part of the picture than the veterinarians, and so it all becomes money. We're kind of in a way seeing that with the takeover of Mars Candy Company buying veterinary clinics. And other groups, not just Mars, but other smaller groups joining, and they come up with a corporate mandate, a corporate protocol, and it's all based on profit and all that kind of stuff. So it's definitely a real thing. It definitely should be a real concern. I think you have to look at the product. You have to know enough about what is it I'm looking for at a product, that is the product good, whether it comes from a little tiny company in upstate Wisconsin, or it comes from a big company like Purina in St. Louis, Missouri. The bottom line: show me the nutrients, show me the finished product. Okay. The other thing I would look at is the research that that company is doing. That's part of the WASAVA guidelines, that hey, if you have a company that has board certified nutritionists and food scientists and chemists and all, and they're actually doing a lot of research that ends up being peer reviewed and accepted, and it's causing new diets to come out, new ways to approach diabetes and approach this and approach that. I think that's more important than, is that company making a lot of money, or is that company big or small? Then I also would look at, and I only know Hills intimately because I worked with them for 34 years, the millions of dollars that go into researching the diets that come out, the financing, the stone specimens that are sent to Minnesota Urolith Center, paying for that for veterinarians, so that one place can get all the collection of these stones, so we could learn more and more, and sharing that. The microbiome research going on at Hills. Hills just built a $22 million addition to their research facility dedicated just to canine small dog nutrition, just for small breeds, because they're becoming so popular. What are the differences there, and how to formulate diets there? Again, I mentioned microbiome, the nutrigenomics, looking at how nutrients affect gene expression, so we can metabolize energy, or metabolize metabolism, so dogs will naturally lose weight or fight arthritis with turning down the gene that's causing the aggrecanase enzymes that are destroying the cartilage. And there's so much great stuff going on out there, and it costs a lot of money. Most companies don't spend any money on research. One, they can't. They don't have the people. They don't have the facility. But I think you have to, when you look at big companies and say, well, they're so big, they're making so much money. Absolutely. But you have to look at, okay, what are they doing with that money? Are they just putting it into TV advertising and nothing else? Or are they actually contributing to the wellness of pets? So I even think of, and many companies do this, but Hills has a feeding program for the Humane Society, so that they don't have to be scrounging for, donations for food. Feed them a consistent diet. The animals get healthier. They're more adoptable. This was years ago. Hills was feeding over 100,000 animals a day in most humane societies throughout the country. I'm sure that's a way bigger number now. So I would do that when I look at a big company. And again, I can't judge little companies because they don't have the capability. They can't do the stuff. Some companies do, but with the tornadoes and the floods and all the stuff we've been having in the country, I was part of it where Hills, we have fires here in Colorado. And a couple of years, I was a superstar because I was the rep on the scene. But Hills was shipping thousands of pounds of pet food to people that had been displaced, so that there was one less thing they had to worry about. Made me look like a star, but I did absolutely nothing. It was really the whole system that Hills has with humane societies and all that. So I understand what Michael's saying, and we see it everywhere. Let's not be, let's not put the rosy glasses on. We know it exists. There's corruption, the bigger you get. but I think you can evaluate and look at what a company is producing. And again, I don't want to take away, there's some small companies out there making some really awesome diets. They don't have the capabilities of these bigger companies. But they're just as profit driven. They have to make money. They have to make a profit. They didn't go into it just to be just to be a charity. So that's something to keep in mind. So marketing overshadows medical truth. Well, Michael, I think you're absolutely right. You can't get away from it because marketing is what? Trying to convince you to buy something, trying to get you to act. And the best way to do that is to get to your emotions, not your intellect. Nutrition, I'm sorry, medical truth, unless you're really into it. Like I'm really into nutrition. I don't know why. I have been for years. I'm still passionate about it. I don't ask me why. Just pet food. The minute somebody starts talking about pet food, man, I'm there. You start talking about other stuff, forget it. I could care less, especially at my age now. I'm either into it or I don't want to know anything about it. Okay. So medical truth for a lot of people is just boring. Okay. I can much more convince you to buy my product by getting to your heart than getting to your head. Marketing people know that, and that's why we have all the buzzwords we have, all the manipulation we have. Sure, it's in pet food, but you know what? Let's be honest, it's in everything else, everything from religion to politics to you name it. There's those snake oil salesmen, call them whatever you want, that are just trying to convince you this looks better and this is why. So anyway, let's keep going. Over the years, I've dug deep into these prescription foods. What I discovered and what veterinary industry insiders have privately confirmed. So he's talked to insiders. And on his video, he did mention he knows a few people that have worked for a few of these big companies. So that's cool. So he knows insiders. Let me get back to where I was. Sorry about that. They've confirmed is that many of these formulas are not technically prescription in the way the public understands. The FDA doesn't classify them as such, and there are no drugs or prescription-only ingredients inside. Let me stop there. This is where it's interesting how our bias, I keep talking about this all the time because it's really so true. I grew up in the veterinary world with food, so prescription diet was very natural to me, how it was used versus foods from the grocery store or premium foods, whatever. I every now and then I'd run into a client in a clinic over the years that thought maybe there was medicine in the food. But I have to be honest, most people just didn't think, I mean, the whole idea was this food is using nutrition to manage your pet's condition. It's not a food with medication to feed your dog. Maybe some clients believe that. I am sure there's not a veterinarian, well, I shouldn't say I'm sure. I'm pretty sure there are no veterinarians coming out of vet school that actually believe prescription diet has medicine in it. Now, let's keep going, and then we'll talk about a little more. The term is used for marketing, distribution control, and price justification. So let me stop there. First of all, I'm looking at this, and you can see it if I have it on the screen. There's no drugs. There's no prescription-only ingredients inside. I guess I should go back to that. Correct. The ingredients, many of the ingredients you find in a therapeutic diet, you'll find in a regular wellness diet. Chicken, flax, chicken fat, calcium and phosphorus. I mean, you know, the ingredients are not what's special. You guys should know this. You nutrition mission folks know this. It's the balance of nutrients to affect the disease condition. That's what makes it therapeutic. Now, he's right. Michael's totally right. The term prescription diet, it's just a name. I mean, it's great marketing, I have to admit, but it's just a name. It means nothing. And that's why, because it is a name trademarked by Hills, Purina and Relcanen can't say Relcanen prescription diets. Now, I know a lot of people, I guess we all do it, a lot of times we say, when we say prescription diet, we might mean Relcanen's version or Purina's version or Hills' version. It all gets lumped in as prescription diet because it's sold only through the vet. But Michael is absolutely right. It is strictly a distribution rule that those companies, for really good reasons that everybody should be able to understand, if you're on one of those prescription diets, one of those therapeutic diets from any of those three companies, take away the prescription diet name, call it Hill's Superfood. Okay, that would be a cool name, right? That would work well these days. Hill's Superfood, available only from your veterinarian to manage certain diseases that your your veterinarian is working with you to manage. I guess that would make people feel better because the word prescription isn't in there. But he's right. There's no medication. There's no, it's just strictly Hills, Dr. Morris, way back in the 40s when he came up with KD for the very first time, the very first therapeutic diet out there. The whole concept was new. First, of course, it was very limited how much he was making it in the basement of his clinic for a while. But it clearly should only be used with the veterinarian managing renal disease. And then urinary diets came and all this other stuff. That just made total sense. And even to this day, now Purina and Royal Canin are huge, but Hills has a capacity problem. They really couldn't take all their prescription diets and fill up PetSmarts and Petcos and you know, they're in some of those with their vet clinics, but they couldn't go to every pet store and Ace Hardware and all and put their products in there. They can't. They don't make enough. Okay, so he's right. It's strictly distribution. And it makes total sense. If you're on one of those diets, you're being managed by your veterinarian. There's probably other medications you're using. There's other things your vet wants to monitor how well the pet's doing on the diet. It makes total sense. And it's not against the law. There's been all these fraud lawsuits out there. Oh, Hills is trying to fool people. And isn't it funny? He says, you know, over the years, I've dug deep into these prescription foods. And what I've discovered by dealing with the insiders, okay, that have confirmed this, Michael, I could have made this clear to you in about 15 seconds. Prescription diet has no medication, never did. No one ever claimed it did. You have to buy it through the vet for the reasons I just said. Hills distribution is only, they use those diets with veterinarians and with their advice and with their monitoring. That's it. It's not illegal. It's not being mischievous or deceitful or anything like that. And it's funny, he says, it's distribution control and price justification. So they can overcharge for those diets. And, there was a time, I was with Hills 34 years. There was a time prescription diet and then Royal Canin and Purina came in. Those diets were much more expensive than almost any other level of pet food. Those days are long gone. Long gone. You can spend a whole lot more money than on a KD or a UD or a CD or a Royal Canin diet, whatever, for foods that have absolutely, now this is where, Michael needs to understand, those foods, their imbalance in excessive mineral levels and protein levels are atrocious. They're terrible, but you're going to pay a fortune for them. Or you could pay a fortune for a therapeutic diet that actually could keep your renal dog alive or keep your cat from having urinary stones again. But it's not by some magic, it's not unicorn horn and fairy dust and special, prescription only ingredients that they put in the food. No, it's taking a normal food, if you want to call it that, with all the normal ingredients and saying, hey, we need to control the protein here because of this condition. And we're going to actually invert the omega-3s and the omega-6s for anti-inflammatory purposes, or we're going to lower the calcium, phosphorus, magnesium, and calcium, phosphorus, magnesium, sodium, because this cat is prone to urinary stones, or we want to actually dissolve a urinary stone. It's all by nutrients. It's not, there's no magic ingredients. Now you could buy garbage ingredients. You're not going to be able to do that in a prescription diet because you're trying to control, especially minerals. Garbage ingredients are going to be full of bone, hair, hoof, feathers, chicken lips, all this kind of stuff. Whether it's meat meal or fresh meat, the lousy grade stuff will be really high in minerals and you won't be able to control that in your diet. So there's no way it's going into a therapeutic diet. So it is amazing though, and I've seen it on so many comments that just look at the ingredients in those therapeutic diets. It's just garbage. Why do people believe that? They believe it because they've been trained, I should say manipulated, by the pet food marketers. And Michael's got a heart of gold here, I can tell, but he's one of them. That's why. And he's talked to the inside. I would imagine an insider, I think I know one of the people that he knows on the inside would have said, nah, it's not the ingredients, it's the nutrients. Yeah, we pick the ingredients to deliver the nutrients to manage this disease or that disease, and we manipulate it here. We go higher levels here, we go lower levels there. Yeah, it's all nutrients. The ingredients are what deliver the nutrients, but no, you're not going to find some special prescription-only ingredient. And it makes me, I just, when people tell me they've really looked into it, It's like, how far do you look into it? I mean, and you talk to insiders. I consider myself kind of an insider, I guess. I could make this real simple. Look at the nutrients. That's how they manage the disease. The ingredients: chicken, corn, soy. Again, lots of the same ingredients. Now, you don't know because of AFCO, and maybe he gets into it later, the quality of that corn, the quality of that meat meal, the quality of whatever. Again, that really, you don't know. The definition doesn't define it. But I can look at the nutrient levels and tell whether that food company is actually on target for optimal levels and controlling things. You can't do that when you're using garbage ingredients. It just doesn't work. So let's keep going here. So go down here. That's a problem when pet parents are led to believe these diets are uniquely life-saving, when in many cases they're made from the same feed-grade, ultra-processed ingredients as cheaper alternatives. I think I've already ranted on that, okay? But this is the way a lot of people think. This is what I'm trying to get across here, and hopefully share this video with people that you think are caught up in this. But the same feed grade ultra processed ingredients as cheaper alternatives. I guess you could say, if you look at Prescription Diet and you look at Science Diet coming from the same company, I do believe most of those ingredients are probably the same. Again, it's how much more are we restricting this? How much closer are we narrowing the urine pH? Some things Hills does in Science Diet and Prescription Diet, but there's a difference when you're trying to prevent urinary stones versus trying to dissolve urinary stones, things like that. If we have a stress-induced idiopathic cystitis versus just a healthy cat, things like that. But I think maybe that's a good example of how you could call Science Diet a cheaper alternative than Prescription Diet within that company. But again, if I showed you the nutrient levels, you'd say, okay, I see the difference. I see what they're after here. Ingredient panels aren't going to tell you a difference. It's the nutrients that are going to tell you the difference. Okay, does that make sense? But people are led to believe these diets are uniquely life-saving. You bet your bippy they are. Boy, what's that from? Boy, that's from is that from Laughing? Holy cow! Just dated myself. Those of you who remember that, you bet your bippy. I have not said that in decades, so that's weird. I'm starting to revert back to my younger days. But yeah, you bet, Michael. They are diets that are uniquely life-saving. I have seen renal patients on those diets for years. I've seen urinary stones dissolved. I've seen hypertension handled. I've seen cats with diabetes go into remission. I've seen awful allergy pets, dogs and cats that could eat a food and live nice, normal, healthy lives. I've seen arthritic dogs get on a joint diet and actually go back up the stairs again and get off drugs and NSAIDs. Yeah, I'd say if not life-saving, life-altering, life-improving, whatever, because can't save them forever. But yeah, I would call it life-saving. I definitely would. Okay, yes, I agree. He's saying he agreed with my comment, I guess. Not all kibble is created equal. Okay, that's definitely true. Just look at nutrient levels and you can see that. But we must acknowledge that the vast majority of kibble, including from some of the biggest brands, is made from rendered meat meals. Yes, absolutely. Often not human grade. Absolutely. Most of the organ meat is not fit for human grade because humans don't eat organ meat, so it gets listed as byproducts and stuff like that. So yeah, I agree. And preserved with synthetic additives or processed at such high temperatures that the original nutrients are depleted and must be synthetically added back in. This is not speculation. This is well documented in the pet food industry. Again, absolutely true. Okay. I was talking with, I think the guy's name is Michael, somebody, a founder of another pet food company, a small one, doesn't have all the resources of the big three. We talked for hours on the phone. The guy is brilliant. And he said, I know the ingredients I use, what temperatures I can cook it at, and what denaturing will occur, the percentage. So I know either I have to allow for more of that ingredient or a different ingredient to make up the difference. That's what a pet food company does. It's a whole recipe. It's a whole diet, not just one ingredient. To say, well, I'd use that ingredient, but after we're done cooking, it's down here. Okay, that's fine. So usually it's not amino acids. Usually it's vitamins and things like that. But if you're aware of that, now if you're not aware, yeah, then why are we trusting your company anyway? But that can all be managed. That's the purpose of having nutritionists and chemists and knowing what you're doing. This is hard stuff. This is not easy. This isn't grandma making Thanksgiving dinner or Easter dinner that's coming up. Okay, this is very complicated, and to reproduce that constantly, it's a big deal. It is not easy. So let's get back here. Yes, the temperature. Now, synthetically added back in. Doesn't have to be synthetically. It could be by using another protein source that has the higher amino acid that was lost in the cooking of meat. Carbohydrates actually don't even, their bioavailable availability doesn't even start till you cook it. Carbohydrates have to be cooked at the right temperature for the right amount of time. You just feed them corn on the cob raw, they're not going to get anything out of that. Okay, so again, it goes back to the science of nutrition, not just picking out. That's what ingredientists do. They pick out different ingredients and then want to comment on them, but that's not true. And you hear it all the time. Well, we don't use synthetic vitamins and minerals. Well, you should, because I talked about this all the time. The careful balance of all those, especially minerals, how they act on each other. Even in natural ingredients, those nutrients will vary. So there's no way you're getting the balance that a company like Hills or Royal Canin can achieve by using synthetic minerals. So synthetic sounds so terrible. I just want natural. Not in the science world. It doesn't work that way. Okay, so let's go back to, he gets into a couple relevant studies, and I want to give him, be fair here. Relevant studies that raise concern. In 2021, peer-reviewed study in Frontiers in Veterinary Science compared dogs fed raw diets with those on kibble. And dogs on raw diets had significantly better health markers, including healthier skin, ears, and digestion. Another long-term observational study, so now we're changing studies, tracking over 6,000 raw-fed dogs, showed a dramatic drop in cancer rates compared to dogs eating commercial kibble, about 3% versus an estimated 50%. I hate quoting Dr. Judy because I just hate quoting her, but she has the one thing she said in one of her videos, there's a study out there to prove anything you want proven, okay? I really kind of doubt that there's any legit study that shows that dogs on commercial kibble have 50% cancer, and dogs on raw food, is it raw? That yes, fed raw, only 3% cancer. Could be. I have no idea, and I don't believe it yet, just because I'm seeing it from a study over here, a study over there. Depends who does the study, what foods just because they're feeding raw, or they balanced diets. What do we know from Dr. Becker and Rodney Habib and those that are in the raw food world? They'll tell you that up to 95% of people do it wrong and have deficiencies and excesses because they're not doing it right. They're not getting a good recipe. Just because it is raw doesn't make it magic. So and versus kibble, Michael does admit there's a big difference. I can show you some of the worst kibble out there made with the garbage ingredients, and I know because I can look at the mineral content, and I can know there's some incredible kibble that treats disease. A kibble that can treat disease can't be garbage, right? That doesn't make sense. So I don't know. And dogs fed raw diets, again, the health markers. I'd really, it says it's a peer-reviewed study. Could be it's from 2021. That's good. It's not that far back. We'll have to see. Most of the people that are in the raw community are admitting, unlike Michael, that they really don't have evidence yet, and that's fair, that raw feeding is any better than cooked or kibble. And again, the problem with kibble is like saying Italian food is bad. Okay. You can have Italian food in Italy. You can have Italian food at Olive Garden. You could have Italian food that your grandmother makes. You could have Italian food that your Polish friend's mom makes. It's all different. It's all made different. So when you say kibble, oh my goodness, you're talking about such a wide umbrella. Again, it's like comparing prescription diet KD to kibbles and bits. You can't do it. So, and when it comes to cancer, I wish we could say, yay, we've discovered something. I've lived long enough to have precious family members and friends that lived a healthy life did not abuse their bodies in any way with any chemicals or anything like that, and were dead from cancer before they were 40, and others that lived horribly unhealthy lives, mistreated their bodies in every way possible, including alcohol and marijuana and everything else, and they're thriving in their 60s. So cancer, I'm sorry, I wish we had an answer, but I don't believe most people when they say we've discovered this is the way to reduce the risk of cancer. Sorry, I just can't go there. Let's see, what else? These are not fringe studies. They are peer-reviewed and institutionally backed. Again, there's going to be studies out there on all kinds of stuff. If I was a Hills nutritionist or a board-certified nutritionist from any company, or the 80% that are not with a food company that are just out there independent, if I was one of them, I would know how to look at the study, to look at the protocols and see, okay, here's a problem here. They kind of overstep their boundaries over here. There's too many variables over there. Even their conclusion is kind of a little bit of a stretch from what, so you got to go, I hate to say, groupthink, but you got to go with consensus. You can't just go with, here's a study that proves whatever. And these studies support what many pet parents and holistic vets have long observed. So pet parents and holistic vets have observed that the dogs do better on raw and that they don't get cancer on raw. I've been doing this channel for 2 years, and I said this just the other day to somebody. I can find you just as many people that said, I fed raw, had nothing but GI problems, pancreatitis, all these other kind of things, switched to kibble, the dog is thriving, and it's been 5 years. And there's plenty that have said, I did every try kibble out there, nothing worked, I went to raw, and the dog now is thriving. Nutrition or the dogs make a fool out of all of us, okay, that are trying to figure this out. That's irrelevant to me that some people say my dog did great on this food. That really is irrelevant. I'm glad she did. That doesn't mean my dog will, and it doesn't mean it's that particularly a healthy diet till I actually look at the nutrients. So let's see, what else? Many kibble manufacturers use BHA, BHT, or ethoxyquin preservatives flagged for potential carcinogenity, and in past recalls, pentobarbital, a euthanasia drug, has been found in meat meals. So that's 2 comments there. Preservatives, yes, BHA, BHT, even ethoxyquin. You don't see too much of it anymore. Most food companies have gotten away from that and got over to mixed tocopherols. I did look at studies with ethoxyquin back in the 90s and 2000s, and it seemed it was more popular demand to drop ethoxyquin that there was actually proof of it being a carcinogen. The amounts you would have to fill a dog with, it just didn't seem possible. But popular demand, pretty much it's gone now. And then, of course, the euthanasia drug found in meat meals. Yeah, show me where you're buying those meat meals. Show me the bone, hair, hoof, feathers, chicken lips that are in that meat meal. And it's going to show up in the the nutrient levels as well. So yeah, there's garbage products out there, no doubt about it. People doing it wrong. That doesn't mean everybody's doing it wrong. The FDA has even published findings on these contamination cases. Good. They should put the names of the brands too. So yes, these are very real concerns. Absolutely. We should be concerned about everything. We shouldn't be blind trust in anybody these days. Haven't we learned recently? That's crazy. You mentioned that Medicus mimics Hill's nutrient profiles. They do. But the difference is the sourcing, transparency, and integrity of the ingredients. Again, we get back to the ingredients. These ingredients sound good. These ingredients make me feel good. So I'll spend $40 a pound for a renal diet that is only, whatever a pound over here. What would it be? I don't know, $10 a pound, maybe something like that, for KD or UD, whatever. And yes, they're using less expensive ingredients. They're using rendered products, whatever, but they have a team of board certified nutritionists and food scientists and chemists, and they're delivering the nutrient levels that Medicus is a brand new company. You look at the nutrient profile, it's Hill's nutrient profile. But they're using expensive ingredients with the idea, and maybe someday, let's be fair, maybe someday science will prove that those whole ingredients actually did something magical that the Hills diet didn't do. Will there be a dog that will do better on Medicus than on a Hills diet or Royal Canin product? I'm sure, absolutely. Vice versa, I'm sure, absolutely. Am I glad Medicus is there? And if people are caught up in that ingredientist thing and they want to spend $40 a pound, they've been guilted and shamed enough that they're going to leave prescription diet and go to Medicus, go for it. I'm sure, I think it doesn't have the history that Hills has, but I'm going to be confident that it's a great product and go for it. What I don't like is the founder of that company bad mouthing the nutritionists and the diets over here that are saving far thousands, 100,000 times more pets than what Medicus is ever going to save, just because veterinarians are using Hills and Royal Canin and Purina. But we have to use fear, guilt, and shame to get you to bump up from whatever it costs for prescription diet or Royal Canin up to Medicus at $40 a pound. Let me keep going. That's why many holistic vets and educated I'm just going to leave that there. You're educated. Yeah. Pet parents are willing to pay more. They sure are, because they believe in human grade, which is basically BS, clean sourcing, which what the hell does that mean? Even if the macros look the same on paper. Okay. And you know what? More power to you. If you're buying Medicus, go for it, because it appears, looking at that nutrient profile, I'm impressed with it. You're getting what your animal needs. I guess you're getting the emotional support you need because you're spending $40 a pound, and that ingredient panel just makes your heart sing. Okay, I could just see little birds coming up. I don't have the animation other people have, but it's like Snow White walking through the meadows while you're feeding this wonderful food. Again, you can tell my bias. I'm sorry, I have a bias. What can I say? Let's keep going. I'm almost done. This is getting long. I'm sorry, it's 35 minutes. Sorry, this I guess is just a rant. As for Dr. Morgan, credentials aside, she speaks from clinical hands-on experience and is part of a growing community of holistic veterinarians that are filling in the gaps left by the traditional system. Again, personally, I believe Dr. Morgan is very dangerous and very harmful. Does she know Eastern stuff and supplements and some natural remedies and all that I have no clue of? I'm sure she does. I'm sure she does some good work. But when she gets on videos and says that prescription diets are crap, that she would never feed it in a million years, that's just irresponsible. And don't tell me that's not profit driven. You gotta make somebody afraid enough of feeding those therapeutic foods. My God, even when the diet is actually working, I read these comments where people say, the diet's doing great, but I feel terrible that I'm feeding this awful food. Please help me. It just makes me nuts. I do. I think it's totally irresponsible. Her whole mission, everything she does. I really hope that some of the influencers out there start backing away from her, because the stuff she says is literally stupid. She talks about prescription diets like somebody that has absolutely no experience as a practicing veterinarian. She's totally denied nutrition science to go with her Eastern, whatever, holistic, we are the world philosophy or something, but it has nothing to do with nutrition science. So Michael, you really don't want to get me started there. And she's filling the gap that traditional nutrition science needs filled. No, there's gaps in science. There always will be. We're always learning something new every day. But no, she threw away the baby with the bathwater, as I like to say. She could have taken nutrition science and added all her other things, just like I said, Dr. Woodley should have done. But instead, what do? I've heard them both say. Just watch the video of Dr. Woodley that I did just a week or two ago. Oh, there's no difference. I do webinars and show there's no difference with the ingredients in grocery food versus prescription diet. That's coming from a practicing veterinarian. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Okay, we're almost done here. This one's going too long. I have to edit some of this out. Board certification is important, but so is being open-minded to where the system falls short, especially when the industry funding can influence science. Here we go. Because all the money that Hills, Royal Canin, and Purina spend in veterinary colleges and with studies and all the other stuff, well, that's just propaganda. They're just lying so that they can sell their stuff. Stuff doesn't work. Talk to veterinarians. Oh, wait a minute. It does work. I wonder why it works when it's just crap. I don't understand that, but that's how these people believe. Okay, that's what Michael learned from the insiders, I guess. How the hell does this stuff work? How does it work? 34 years, every friggin' day of my life, I'd be in vet clinics seeing these diets work, seeing the results of these foods, knowing why the veterinarians promote them the way they do, because they want to be heroes. They want to help these animals. They want to see their clients be happy. You listen to these people, oh, it's all just marketing. It's all just a fraud. They're just being brainwashed by Hill's, Royal Canin, and Purina because they're spending money. What's so funny, what's so hysterical is Farmer's Dog just spent, or they're spending $10 million with a couple different universities and vet colleges doing studies. $10 million. So now I'm waiting to hear. Wait a minute. They're just buying influence. They're not actually going to do a study. They're not actually going to put their money back into helping the science and actually doing something productive, which I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt that they're doing. I think their marketing is horribly dishonest and totally deceptive, and I can't stand the company. I keep missing phone calls with one of their higher ups there. We keep missing each other. But now they want, how many millions did they pay for their Super Bowl commercial? Here they're actually taking $10 million of their profit from their overpriced food that is nothing special, absolutely nothing special whatsoever, but they're making a lot of money. You want to give $10 million to universities to run some studies on nutrition and all that to further knowledge? Go for it. But now you hypocrites, not you guys, my guys, but the hypocrites out there, oh, well, Hills just influences. I want to, Sam, the retailer, it'd be funny to ask him, well, Sam, now that Farmer's Dog is giving millions of dollars to research, to vet schools even, sounds like they're just buying recommendation. They're just turning into a Hills. They're just turning into a Royal Canin, right? Unbelievable. All right, we're almost done. Especially on the internet. Well, we'll continue saying, do your own homework. Ask the hard questions and always, always, always follow the money. That's where truth and the problem usually hides. Yes, do your own homework, but understand a quote that Dr. Remillard, Rebecca Remillard, a nutritionist, she was at Angel Memorial. This is many years ago when the internet first came out. It was brand new. Those of you that can remember that sounds so weird. She said when the internet hit, and not so much social media, but the internet and all, she said, I am spending more time debunking bad information now than teaching good information because of the internet. Why? Because people don't question the source. So to Michael's point, and I think it's a good point, do your homework, but consider the source. Ask the hard questions, absolutely. The easy ones, marketing people take care of. Ask the hard questions, but consider the source where you're getting the information from. And there's going to be two sides. Sorry, we live in a world now, it should be black and white, but it's not. It's always gray now, and you're going to have to just listen to both sides and decide which one you want to go with. So I agree with that. Always, always, always follow the money. Yeah, I think, again, kind of already talked about that. I would look at how they're making their money. Is the product worth the money? And what are they doing with some of their money? Okay, that would be what I would look at for that. But don't tell me for 1 second whether it's Hills, whether it's Purina, whether it's Mars. Okay, they're making lots of money. Man, they are crazy money. Don't tell me, oh, well, they're only in it for profit, but Medicus, they're in it just to help the animals. They don't care about money. Dr. Woodley, who has her own natural pet practice somewhere, and Dr. Judy Morgan has all kinds of products. And of course, all these veterinarians, these holistic veterinarians, will charge you quite a bit of money to have a consultation with them because their knowledge is so important that you need to know it. Thanks again for being here and for helping raise awareness, even from a different angle. I appreciate that. That's how we all learn and grow. So that's Michael. Seems like a really nice guy. This is way too long, so I may have to cut this down, or maybe I'll just send it out there and you guys tell me what you think. I don't want to just be ranting, but real good guy, but the beliefs that he has from social media and from the snake oil salesman, that's what really bothers me. So anyway, I'll try to get Wolf back up on the wall there, come up with a good name for him or her. I generally always thought of her as a her, but it doesn't have to be her. And we'll see you. All right. Bye.